Man, welcome back. Welcome back to another week. God bless you. God keep you well. Hope everyone's done great. Coming out of a lot of spring break. So I know we're tired of the storms and the bad weather. But look, it's Monday and it's your boy back in the house. And welcome back to episode 302, season 3. And this is your boy, the one and only Coach Tony. And this is the Pull Up Podcast Show. Tonight, we're going to delve into a guest, a great friend of mine on the basketball carousel, as we call it. And we're going to dive into the HBCU. We've done a lot of things around here, but we haven't really talked about the HBCU. We're going to get a good taste of it tonight. You know, and the guest of mine coming from Ricky Bobby land. If y'all know anything about Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last. Talladega, Alabama, and then some. But before we talk about our guests, Val, you know what to do. Drop it.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. Bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Show. I said bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Show. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up.
And that's just give me hype. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast, the show. Man, back in the house again. But before we get started, do a couple of things for me. Make sure you, one, like the show, share it with your friends, make sure they share the show, and more importantly, subscribe to the show. Got a couple of people checking in already. Kel Russell, what's going on, my mind? And that is coming in for real. I appreciate you on that, Flomo. And Jay Ward coming out of Carolina. We're going to talk tonight. I want you to talk to my guest tonight. Your boys slid in, but we talked about that, and I can't wait to have some more great conversation on this bracket tonight. But my guy is coming out of, again, Talladega, Alabama. He's done some big things. He's turned around every program that he's had an opportunity to put his hands on. It's kind of like the Midas touch. Everything he touched turns to gold. We're going to find out how he did that. He's had an opportunity to move out of Talladega and go to another HBCU in Oklahoma. Don't want to tell you what that is. We're going to let him talk about it. And then recently, he just broke another record, going to yet another HBCU and taking them to the tournament. So we're going to bring on my man. Without further ado, my guy, the one and only Coach Kevin Harold.
To be here, Coach Tony and Val. Really appreciate the opportunity to come on this show. I've watched it a few times, and you really got it going.
Man, I appreciate it. I know you got them needles in your eyes flying back from the tournament, man. So I just appreciate you jumping on the air tonight, man.
No, absolutely. Motion's still a little raw. That flight is still a little much, but it's very thankful that we got back safely, and now it's time to move forward.
Yeah. You got a couple people checking in. Michael Russell said, let's go. Teddy Beverly said, what's happening? He up in the house tonight checking in with us. And then the one and only, my secondary guy is none other than Kevin Springer, who's on both of our shows, helped do a lot of engineering. What's up, Kev? I'm glad you pulled up on us tonight. Coach, man, it's been great, man. Man, you go way back like a pair of slacks, man. People just don't know. So we're gonna have some fun tonight, man.
Right.
But so the people get an opportunity to understand where you came from and cut a cloth. Take us back to where you grew up, man, and where you went to school at.
Yeah. I was born in California, Los Angeles. Stayed there around. I got the best of both worlds. Growing up in Cali, left when I was a teenager to move to Maryland. So I had that DMV flavor.
There you go.
Maryland, DC, Virginia basketball. So I'm also a product of that. Moved on. Eventually, I played D2 basketball at Glenville State. Moved on from there. I decided to actually get away from basketball, and a really good friend of mine, Jerome Williams, who played for Georgetown in '98. He got drafted, to Detroit. Spent some time with him, working with his Positive Shades of Black community outreach, which was a great experience for me because not only did I see how community service works, And how that, it's funny how all that came into play for what I do now, on top of just being around some of the greatest minds in basketball. And that's male and female. So that was an amazing experience. Then I moved on down to, came on back down to Maryland. Wanted to get away from basketball, but, God doesn't let you run away from stuff that he has you blessed with. So eventually I ended up taking it over a 7th and 8th grade girls basketball team. I was hooked. Eventually took over a varsity basketball team at McLean School of Maryland. Did that for 6 years. Got into training with my own training company, Top Game. That was going really well. Working with college professional players, which was a great experience. And then I got a blessing because I hadn't finished college yet.
Right.
I had moved on and I hadn't finished college, and I had an opportunity to go to Talladega College, which let me just give a shout out to Talladega College.
There you go. You got to get the Toledo's on the map. And there's your boy Jay Smith checking in too, right?
Yes. I am Diga Made. Without Talladega, I would not be where I am. Dr. Billy C. Hawkins was the greatest president that I've been around. Mentor, just a genius when it comes to the HBCU world. Very, very thankful. Had a great AD there, Coach Wilberto Ramos, who's a great friend of mine still. Was there, was able to be an assistant for 4 years, eventually took over as a head coach in 2014. And it's kind of like a blur, but we did some great things there within a 10-year span of the time that I was there at Talladega College. We had the number one winning percentage amongst any D1.
You was bragging about that too. I was watching you sit up and post stuff, but I'm not even gonna let you go that fast. I'm gonna reel you in real quick because we're gonna go back because you get an opportunity to play. Now you got to look at this picture here. You got Jerome out there. He in D-Town playing with the Pistons. And I love him too. That was the dog get it in. That was his nickname too. But and then you get out in the DMV, and then you find yourself back in Alabama. My folks is up top. We're in Florence, Muscle Shoals area, and shout out to the Quad Cities up north Alabama, where the family's at. But you said something interesting, because I know exactly how you feel. Once you start coaching on the high school side of the house, you kind of got that bug in you, and it's like, wow. Then you start training. You were doing this, and then you hadn't even graduated, and something clicked. Like, wait a minute, let me go ahead and take a step back, go get my paper, make this happen. When you and I connected, you were on the assistant coaching side of the house. You were doing double work, so don't be like, you was AD and coaching. I'm like, this brother doing too much, two hats. But when you at them small schools, sometime you got to do that. I had our wonderful guest on, Kiki Barnes. And Kiki was doing the same thing down at Dillard.
Phenomenal.
And then of course our boy, Norbert Rome, Coach Rome down there. But the best time was that 2011, 12, 13, 14, Coach Smith in the house with Fisk and myself and you down at Talladega and Rome down at Dillard. Man, what you talking about, that was one of the best times I can say, because it gave me an opportunity to get involved with the HBCU and none other than Fisk, and the GCAC was rocking. And, and it was just great. How was that as an assistant coach, and then you were doing the AD part of the house? When did the bug bite you to say, something, instead of me, because you could have stayed in the athletic directory path and went and took that route. But what made you say that you really wanted to jump over and coach?
Well, it was interesting. That 2013-14 season, and I was still an assistant coach. I was an assistant athletic director. At the end of that season, I decided this is the first time I'm actually talking about this, so you getting it first. Well, we do want to pull up. We pull it up, baby. We pull it up. So at that point, I decided to take another gig in Detroit. So it was outside of basketball. I let my AD know. I said, told Coach Ramos, I'm just gonna go find something else. Maybe I need to go in a different direction. So I took a job, corporate job, and that was just about money. I was like, I want to make some money. Right. This isn't working for me anymore. I gotta, I love it, but this is time I gotta do some other things. So I was in Detroit for about 4 weeks, and I'm walking around and I'm like, this isn't me. This is not me. I had everything. I
This
had
ain't the
everything that I
DMV.
wanted. Right. I
Right.
had everything that I wanted. The money was much better, but I wasn't doing what I was called to do.
Wasn't happy.
And what interesting thing, I got a call from Coach Ramos at Talladega, and he said, "Hey, listen, the job is still going. Your name is being circulated. Would you take the job?" And my dumb butt at first was like, "Well, wait a minute. There's no, we don't, I got to start from scratch. I got to think about this." And I'm just
like on Martin, where Scratch at over there?
Exactly. But I prayed on it Saturday night. I prayed on it. Turned around, told Coach I was going to come back. I headed back, and in 2014, that's when it started. But that's when I knew, because I missed making an impact on kids. And that's my calling. Basketball is just a vehicle, and again, it's my passion, but really it's the impact that you make on these kids and getting to see what they do and how they develop. And now when I look at it, years later, and now I have my own basketball family tree. You know how that is, Coach Tony. You see all the people coach. Now they're coaching or they're being.
Now they're coaching, giving back.
So so that's when I knew in 2004 it was time for me to, to get back into it, but do it at a bigger level, more responsibility.
Yeah, and that's great, man. And you came back because sometimes when that happens, either the athletic director or the school kind of have a frown. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when you want to get back in, you struggle to get back in sometimes. Or if you have to get back in, somebody's not equally allowing you to open that door. And that was good. When you came back and you kicked the door in, you then put up numbers that was ridiculous. I think here when you finished up, you were 171 and 68. You ended up being Coach of the Year. You won more numbers on the HBCU side in terms of wins in an 8-year span than any coach we're talking about in multiple divisions, Division I, the SWAC, whatever, at that time. What were you doing? What was the secret sauce? Because we're talking about Talladega, but I know, and for those that don't know, Talladega is once you get down to Birmingham, then you got to go close to the opposite end of the map because it's still out there. You know what I'm saying? But it was great. But this is at the place that you, in my opinion, it was great because it was kind of like gumbo. You throw a lot of stuff in it because everybody changed it. What was your secret sauce to really start turning the program around? Because you guys end up going to another level. You end up moving up another division. You got your facilities in order. Man, it was tremendous.
First of all, could do do any of this stuff without God. That my faith is it gets tested. We fail every day, but one of the things that God has really put on me is that my passion is bigger than my obstacles. Even though it may be painful sometimes. And the two best coaches I've ever had are my parents. So my secret sauce really was the support that I had. And that I still continue to have. My father was a coach. The bloodline. So there are a lot of things that he taught me. I had great mentors around me. But really, as far as the recruiting part really was about just trying to find, student athletes with a high character that you believe in. A lot of coaches take players just off of talent. I was taking players not because of just their talent. Yeah, that's great. You got to have that. But I had to believe in them.
Right.
If you don't believe them, you can't coach them. Right?
Exactly.
So a big part of, my secret was making sure that, we don't always have to agree because honestly, when you're a coach, it's not about being, their best friend. It's about helping them reach a place that they never thought they could reach, but they dream about it. Mm-hmm. So, and sometimes that, growth sometimes is, uncomfortable, but, in the long run, they're appreciative of that, So that's pretty much, for me, that was my secret sauce. If there was a second thing.
Oh, that's good. And your boy, Hobbs Kalida's checking in and say, man, what's good? Some conference coach of the year, my man, the boss man, Kevin in the house, man. I appreciate you, Hobbs, for checking in. And you're right, man. When you say the secret sauce, you did it the right way. I'm very hard on my son, just putting in because we always want them to do better than us. And for you to pick up the game and then move the game forward was just phenomenal. And then You started, I always tell people, I couldn't have got my best lesson I got if I wasn't at an HBCU, because I learned a lot. I learned about, the money's not there, like you said, and the challenges are there. You got to decide whether this is what you really want to do. And then, again, give it to God, and he'll make sure that he'll let you know if this is your calling. Well, we're going to come back with some more questions on the other side. We're going to take a small break here. Just finishing up the first quarter on the Pull Up Podcast Show with the one and only Coach Tony and my main man in our house, Coach Kevin Harris. We'll be right back, Val. Pay a couple bills. We'll be right back.
Are you a small business owner looking to grow? Introducing the Key Spot mobile app. I'm Cynthia McAllister, owner of the IT company Quality SAP. Since 2016, we have been supporting small businesses and help them promote and share their businesses, services, and events across the country. KeySpot is more than just an app. We are a network providing community. KeySpot, connecting communities and supporting small businesses.
Man, welcome back to the Pull Up Podcast Show with your main man, the one and only Coach Tony, and got my guy kicking with me as my sidekick rodeo today, Coach Kevin Harris. We'll go back for a moment. We were just talking about the secret sauce. The funny part about it is, I remember as I moved on and went out of, the HBCU with Fisk and went JUCO, we talk about relationships and partner. Man, I'm telling you, you and I right now, kid, we've been connected 15 quick years, man. We came together in that 2007 and 8, and right now we're coming up on almost 17, 18 years, next couple of years, and I continue to call you with kids, continue to call you with people I got, and I'm glad to see some of the young ladies that I get an opportunity to talk to, and I also call you about some of the boys I got that I can't get, and you open the doors there and call a couple of people. When you're looking at that, and what were some of the challenges? Because we all had to overcome them. And when you were there, even though you decided, once again, one of the challenges people must understand, the money at an HBCU are not like sometimes you go to a PWI. And that particular one challenge put you away but brought you back. What were some other challenges that you had, although you were having success in the basketball arena?
Oh, wow. I think some of the challenges is, when an administration, they're about academics, they're about education. Athletics is about athletics. So being able to, connect the two isn't always easy because, it's just two different worlds. But if you're able to get both sides to connect, and I do believe administrations help win championships, help teams become successful. It's not that administrations don't, sometimes don't want to spend the money. Sometimes they don't know how to spend it, and that's where the athletic side and the administrative side have to be able to come together. I think, as HBCU coaches, we all know, a lot of us, not all of us, because there are some that are well funded, but, for a lot of us, it's doing more with less, being creative, travel isn't maybe going to be the best you want to,
Hey, but you make it happen. Trust me, we know.
Yeah, exactly. We
done pulled up on some buses a couple of times.
Exactly. It could be travel, fundraising, finding different ways to do that. It's and being able to do that and still run a high level elite program and having your kids not to see, what they don't have, but appreciate what they do have. When they roll up on another school, like for us, we play a lot of PWI institutions, we're out there and they're seeing these big schools, arenas, beautiful buses, that does something to a kid. It does. Yeah. It does. Absolutely. But to be able
it's kind of like growing up in the hood, you don't realize everybody around you is in the hood because everybody's walking out the same type of building, kids out in the stupid playing. I'm from Chicago. So, you don't realize that. And you don't realize that the government cheese you're eating is government cheese. You just know you're getting a cheese sandwich, you know what I'm saying? And playing outside. And then all of a sudden you end up on the other side of the city and see people in actual houses. You're like, wow, this in the city? So,
Yeah, then that's why I say, like, I don't, I got a lot of respect for the coaches that, that we all run a lot in the same circles, and how to be able to manage that, without, kids feeling bad about it. And really that's, a lot of the X's and O's, that's great. A lot of people know that, but to be able to connect and get, kids to trust in what you're talking about and to stay focused, locked in for 9 months out of a year.
9 months. I tell people that all the time, Coach. I talk to kids all the time. I said, you can do whatever you want, and you can say however you want, but the difference between the high school and college is I own you for 9 months out of the year. And I've got to take care of you. Your girl checking in right now. Kayla Rainey said, "What's up, Coach?" She's checking in on you right now. Before you made a move and, and Talladega built the foundation, really gave you good. Let's send kudos. You won 81% of your games. But here's what's more important about Coach that you guys don't know. He graduated 92% of his players. And of those, 8% of those were academic All-Americans. That is ridiculous. So that is you understanding. Now I'm at a school that I know these kids are not going to the WNBA. Let's just keep it real. But we have some kids on there that's talented enough that could possibly get overseas to extend their career and play some basketball. But at the end of the day, one thing that's going to be great, and that is these books and this degree is going to always follow you. So was that hard to keep the girls focused, in the books and also being, in the basketball arena and playing?
I mean, honestly, I think, like I said, it goes hand in hand. It's sometimes it could be challenging with a few, but not with all. You just, you're trying to find the right fit. But I think because of the discipline that we have in our program, it carries over to the other side, to the academic side. And they understood, and they still understand that, without your academics, not just
you go nowhere,
but doing it at a high level is the only way, because it carries over to the basketball court. So they understand it, and that's something that's non-negotiable in our program.
Exactly right. And it can't be, and especially when you're in the direction of these young women, because they're really more vulnerable. They don't go to the next level like the men try to, at least. Now, here's the funny part about it for those that don't know. You end up leaving Bama and heading west, as they say, go west, young man. You go follow the steps of the great one, Cheryl Miller, and end up at Langston. Talk to us a little bit about that. And then you say, I'm not just going to come in here and worry about coming behind one of the greats. I'm going to kick the door in. You kicked the door in first year down there and walked away with an 82% winning percentage there, finishing the year 25-6. Man, woo, how did you do that?
Wow. Well, again, I just think it had a lot to do with, it's different when you have an established program and you're able to carry it on. It's very different. But when you're starting from the I won't even call it the bottom, but you're starting from a level where it's a lot of heavy lifting. Sometimes the program's down. LU, love LU. Shout out to Miss Kinslow out there. I see out there. The LU women's basketball team. Coach CV's done a phenomenal job this year. They're in the Sweet 16. They're elevating the program. Just a great job, and they're going to continue to do a great job. Coach Wright, my guy out there, Coach Warren, my guy out on the men's side, to do a phenomenal job. They got the secret sauce too. But
they're 32-2 right now, 32-3. So they rolling right now, and then you got Skylar Little checking in, say what's up. Her and Ebony Black checking in the house. Kamisha Moore in here. I like that when the players jump on there. Yeah, I love it when they check in.
All of them are.
They like it now because they ain't got to run them sprints.
That's right. Oh, but yeah, but no, LU. It was really just turning the program into not just winners, because you can't start with winning there. You got to have a winning mindset from the very, very beginning. So we were able to build on that. We did a great job. While the time we were there, I enjoyed just the students. Let me tell you something. Have you ever been to LU's gym? It is rocking. Those games are no joke. You talk about like HBCU basketball games; they're phenomenal.
Wow! I remember the old old, if it was rocking anything like the old barn used to be down in Xavier, New
Oh,
Orleans.
like that. It's like that.
That
It's
used
like
to be
that. And I can
ridiculous.
honestly say that because I've been in both. It's like
Yeah,
that.
so you know what I'm talking
Is
about.
the barn
I
is a
ain't talking about
whole.
the new. I ain't talking about the new gym where
No,
you
no,
guys was
no.
playing in the new
The
exit.
old one.
Go back to the old barn, back on the yard. That was
Yes.
ridiculous.
Yes. No. It's similar, but yeah, the barn that was classic. But no, we, like I said, we did a phenomenal job there. We did a great job. Like I said, they were able to carry it on to even greater heights. And as a coach, it's an amazing thing when you move on to another school and you see the school like even take it to the next level.
Yes.
That you really help them continue on in their legacy of what they're doing. So I'm really proud of what they're doing. It's an excellent job. But I like I said, I had a great time there. I learned so much there. It was a great experience for me. Oklahoma basketball, it's tough.
Tough. Man, I had a kid that was flying in from Oklahoma playing my AAU squad coming out of Tulsa. Used to fly into Nashville, on my circuit. And I was like, wow. And then this kid came in and I was like, wow, phenomenal. And that road trip ain't no joke. We drove that one year. I ain't doing that again, kid. No. 11 hours, man. That's way out there, man. Way out there.
Yeah, it's a different type of basketball out there, but basketball is, I know they talk about football, but don't get it twisted. Oklahoma basketball is elite out there. They love it.
Hey, you can tell right now because your boy SGA killing right now. Hey, I got him to win it all. That's all I can say. I got him to win it all on that side of the house.
Yeah, but I'm a Lakers fan, but it's gonna be tough. I don't see it.
Yeah, it's gonna be very tough for them, all that. But when you was out there with them, it was great because Cheryl did a good job. Then you took it another level, and then like I said, you leave, and then they're taking it to another level. What kind of system were you running? Did you take the same system you had at Talladega and take it out to Oklahoma? Because you just mentioned a moment ago, is finding the right kids, got to have the right athletes, but then they got to fit into what you're trying to do. How were you able to get them to adapt and again, you just said great athletes, but how were they able to adapt so quickly to what you wanted to do?
I see here again, I guess, and this is me personally, because I know all coaches are very different. A lot of times, coaches are like, you're going to fit my style. If you can't fit my style, then I'm not gonna use you. I'm not gonna play you. But for me, if you're on my team, you're on our team, I gotta find what you do well to help us win.
Yes.
So I mean, just there's something you can do. If we recruited you, we're responsible for helping you because we knew what you had and what you didn't have. Now,
right. So if you knock somebody out, go knock them out. You trip them up, go trip them up. Whatever it is, you do your job.
Right. You may not get, majority minutes. That's a whole nother thing. But we try to find, what works for us, but also use what you do well to make that happen. And I thought we did a pretty good job of that at Langston.
You did a great job, man. You put him on. She took over the Sun. You put him in the conference. You went to the postseason. You went out, hung up another banner. The kids are proud of that, man. And it's just go to show you the work that you put in. And as you just mentioned, you're in Oklahoma. So it's different trying to recruit in Alabama, right? Because we know Alabama right next to Georgia, right next to Mississippi. You can kind of steal some kids here and there. But you're out in the middle of the heartland in Oklahoma, and you're right next to Kansas, got to get to Nebraska, and then you got to convince these kids to come out there. Maybe some St. Louis kids you would, but how was recruiting in that area? How were you able to go about doing that?
Well, I will tell you this, because in that area, like you said, Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas is right there. It is booming. It's put it like this. It's not hard to find players because they're going to come to you, but it's just really finding the right ones. Sometimes that's hard too, because the influx of kids that want to play for you or the institution is so much, but you got to sift through what works for you.
Exactly.
There's more incoming than you as far as outcoming that you're going to go and find that work for you. So it's a challenge, but not because no one wants to come play. It's just the recruiting out there is crazy because there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent out there. and we were able to find it.
That's good. But I'm not going to let Coach beat me. We're going to take this halftime break because he know how we used to get down on his X's and O's. So, Val, let's take us a halftime real quick so he can talk to his players. I'm going to talk to mine. We're going to come back on the other side in third quarter with the Pull Up Podcast Show. We'll be right back.
I've always thought about how my mom has supported me in any creative endeavor. How beautiful was it for your mom to be the superhero in your life and show up in your creative ventures with this book?
People ask her to sign the book more than they ask me to sign the book. Sometimes I step to the side, I take their picture. And, we have to celebrate our mothers. We got to celebrate our beginning. So she comes out with me. Every event, she is there. Even when I tell her she does not need to come, she will show up in the parking lot. And I'm like, oh, okay, you coming? Okay. I'm like, all right.
Right. And she got a bottle of wine in her hand.
What in the world? Why are you giving her alcohol?
No, I'm just saying. She showed up at the parking lot. She got a bottle of wine, nice wine. She's going to set it down. She ready for the show, Val. You know what I'm saying? Because the funny part about it is, CJ, I've actually talked to Val. I thought about, writing a book myself because my man's in there. But,
I love it.
And look at Val.
My man's in them.
My man's in there. But you got to read the book. You got to read the book. But it's a play. CJ, I apologize because Val should have dropped some old Dub C so you could have came out crip walking. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not flamed up right now. I got to hold on. Trying to get me shot.
Going back to school tomorrow, like, I saw you, Miss Charles. I saw you.
I mean, I can crip walk, so please, but I'm kind of, I'm authoring right now. You guys are funny.
Man, welcome back to the Pull Up Podcast Show with your boy, the one and only Coach Tony, and my guy, Kevin here. Man, let's take it down south, as they say, SOUFF, down south. How did you get out of Langston? Because you were doing a hell of a job, Coach. I mean, like you said, you got great athletes, you're recruiting, you're in, down there with River Ran, right? You're down there with the programs, you're playing solid basketball, and then you decided to go to Florida Memorial. I know you wanted to get out them not hurricane, but them storms. We were talking about it. But then you go down to the daggone hurricanes, but you still put it on. Man, how did you end up down there? And I know they're glad. We're going to dig in. I want you to shout out some of your players who got you guys postseason this year, but how did you make that move down to Florida Memorial?
Oh, Coach, it was a tough decision. One of the things, for me, when I took over Langston in the beginning was, the mission was to bring them, back to not just a respectable level, but to put them in a position where they could be great. And I felt that we did that. And then at that point, I started to look at, wanted to be closer to home, closer to family. Georgia's where family is. And even though that's, Miami is not that close, but on a flight, it's 90 minutes. It's also,
on a good long weekend, you drive and saving that money.
Exactly. In Miami, again, it's Miami. It's a great, sports, basketball is amazing. And I will tell you,
Florida's his own animal down there.
It's his own animal. It's
most schools ain't even recruiting outside the state. It's got with the North Central and the northern region. They don't even recruit out the state sometimes.
They do. They don't really have to because it's phenomenal. So, and I think what sold it for me was, at the time, Jason Horn, the athletic director there. And let me just say this right now. Let me just say it. If you are a D1 school and you are looking for an athletic director, you're not going to find anyone better than Jason Horn.
Man, I'm saying the same thing about you. If you're a D1 school, we've been waiting on this brother right here. He went everywhere he go. You listen to the Pull Up Podcast Show. You better open up your brains and you better start talking to Coach Kevin here. If you're trying to win and you got a program that's struggling, this is the brother right there that's going to help you take it to the next level.
Well, I would tell you, Jason has a huge talent for finding the best talent sometimes the people that don't look at it, and every time he brings people in, if you look, he was at Xavier, he comes down, phenomenal championships there, and they're still doing it. So his fingerprints are still on it. He comes to Florida Memorial, flips it in other different, even on the men's side, on championships. Coach Delano Thomas, phenomenal men's basketball.
I know Delano for a while.
Great working with him. So you want to be with winners.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, he's a winner, and that just made me really excited to be a part of it. And it was able to come down. And at the time, Jason he moved on. He found something different. He's now a commissioner, a Division III, D3 commissioner, which that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So there's some transition in that, but we still had no different in the mission that we have. And the mission was to win championships in the first year. And that's what we did. I know people sometimes go, they look at the end product, they go, wow, like, man, how'd you guys do that? It wasn't easy. It was,
right.
It brought us to our knees. We went through a lot of adversity. But I will tell you, just like with anything in life, adversity, if you respond to it in the right way, you're going to find success.
Exactly right. Exactly. Iron sharpens iron, baby.
These young ladies, like I said, they had the best record in the history of the school. Regular season chip, tournament season, tournament chip. You got the player of the year. The girls played, a great job. My staff. Let me tell you, Coach Tony, Markel Williams, Skylar Little, my other staff members, managers. Phenomenal. Wouldn't have been able to do it without them.
Yeah. And you got to have that good stuff. And I'm going to shout out your girl sitting up there, Kamisha Moore. She was balling out this year. She did. And then Eliza Winston, she balled out as well. I watched you guys. I kept close look. So when y'all don't think somebody's watching, everybody's watching. You know what I'm saying? And it was just phenomenal. And the good thing about that is, I'm hoping that, as you come back and continue to put that in, because people, I want you guys to realize in the last 2 seasons, this coach has gone 50-5. That is phenomenal. It give or take in that ballpark, and you pass your 200 victory at Langston before you even came over. So this guy's already got 200 wins on his belt, and it's showing that he's doing and knows exactly what he's doing. But what was so special about this group of girls? Because I remember when, let you guys know, I remember when this brother gave me some advice. I was struggling, and I had an opportunity to take over FIST. And that year I took over the first time we won homecoming that year, upset Dillard and Xavier that year, which was phenomenal for the school. Ended up tying one of the best records since Teresa had went on to TSU, Teresa Phillips. And I remember talking to you and some of the struggles I was going through. And you just said, hey, man, just relax, lay back, let it come to you, keep doing what you're doing. And eventually it would all come together. Is that kind of the same approach you took when you got to Florida Memorial? Because you came off a winning season at Talladega, then you went down to Langston, picked up where they left off and put them in another better spot. And then you say, okay, I got this formula. Now I got to go down here and really work and turn the program around. Then you end up having the best season that they've had and went on and got the postseason.
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do, I had some players from Langston that did follow me. So I had
that's good. Had a core group of girls coming in. They trust you.
So already had the trust, the experience. I have 10 seniors that are graduating this year, and out of the transfers that I had. So I was in your first year, at least for me, I was looking for maturity, experience. Again, high character, high basketball IQ. That could play the game, and the trust was there. They knew what they were looking for. I also look at the background, the psychology of it. It's a lot of kids that some kids that won some championships, but there were some other kids that just fell short that were really hungry to get it, and we were able to put that together. I think the training. Like I said, I have a phenomenal assistant coach. Strength and conditioning and skill development in Markel Williams. He was amazing. Skylar Little, my grad assistant, was like a coach in the making. She's going to be phenomenal if she decides to continue to do it. But I think collectively, all of us were on the same page. And when you're even on the days you don't want to go and you don't want to practice.
That's why I tell the kids.
We're all
days you don't want to, the days you come in and practice, that lets you know who wants it.
Yeah, we were all helping each other out. I mean, listen, the girls are just amazing. There's some days that were tough for me. You know, this is a tough business to be in because we're all trying to be strong and, you know, be great, show it on the outside. But, you know, I mean, the human side of it is you got to have grace while you're doing this, because if you don't, you're not going to make it. So
yeah, and you said something important too a moment ago when you were talking about, you know, being in position to win with what you got. I remember remember when they used to do the Nike basketball clinics all the time.
Oh yeah.
And I remember being down in Orlando and I got a chance to sit in one of those with Coach K. And this was right at the time, Coach, that if you remember right when he took over the Team USA, LeBron and Kobe and all of them came in. And he said that was the first time in his coaching career. And I think he's been coaching 30 years almost at this time. He said it was the first time in his coaching career that he physically seen his offense and defense run the way it's supposed to, the way that he drew it up. And that's because the pros understand spacing. They understand how to handle an attack off the ball screens and everything else. So when you're looking at that, like you just said a moment ago, and you building that foundation and you got those kids that's going to help you build that foundation, that's when it all is great. But you got to play with what you got. Because if you start coming in and say, hey, I won in Talladega, I did this, I won at Langston, I did this, I'm going to bring it down here, you're going to have to do X, Y, Z, but you don't have the athletes for that. Then what? Now you got to push and pull and it's a fight. But when you learn how to say, I'm going to get the best out of what I got, then that's a whole nother ball game. Now you got the kids really playing for you.
Absolutely. I mean, and again, you know this to be true, Coach. Your reputation has a lot to do with it. Kids are not stupid. You know, they do their research, so they know if
they do
or not, and they know what you're going to put up with and what you're not. They talk to other players.
Correct.
And I think just over the course of time, you know, I've had really good relationships with not just only the coaches, but even players that didn't come play for me. You know, they went somewhere else. I still, you know, hey, thumbs up. I'm glad you're doing great. You know, those relationships, because you never know. Another player could be like, hey, you know what? I didn't get to play for you, but I got somebody you need to look at.
Correct. Or they go on to be in something. I got the kids that play for me. I got one of my kids, I'm always shouting him out, Kevin Giltner, played with me back in my first national championship, AAU, and he's now the associate head coach at Virginia Tech. So I open the door and call my other kids and all that, you know, but we always talk about the good old HBCU. Tell us about the spirit of being at an HBCU besides being in the PWI, because right now in this country right now, Kevin, you know as well as I am, we're struggling. Right? You know, the people up top is trying to pull things apart. They're trying to not give our HBCU financial money and not trying to do this. And then we get hit with situations like the N, the I, and the L. You know, talk a little bit about how all that affects you at an HBCU and if your kids are able to be a part of something like that.
Well, this year we were able to have an NIL, like, you know, HBCU Plus, Mr. Grady, phenomenal guy. Has done.
Shout out, Mr. Grady.
Yes, support from them has been great. It's actually been able to like expand the, you know, being able to showcase, you know, Florida Memorial men and women's basketball athletics in general. So that's been a huge piece. It's also been able to attract great, you know, student athletes for us. We got some great players. I have a young lady, Eliza Winston. She played for Michigan State. You know, Power 5.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Coast after that, phenomenal player. So when you're able to do those things, you attract, you know, top tier talent.
Right.
And again, you know, not just the talent, but you also get players that, you know, that are committed, disciplined, and want to be a part of it. And again, you know, you're doing it in a great place.
Yeah, exactly right. And again, a lot of people don't get an opportunity to understand because a lot of the HBCUs are in the South. I remember when I was at FIS, we took a trip out, me and Coach Smith took a trip out to see Teresa in California. And I was amazed, Kev, how many students wanted to go east because they were tired of just being in the state of California, kind of like Florida. A lot of the kids in Florida, unless there's a good opportunity, they won't leave Florida. They'll stay there, whether they say they're going to North Florida or Central Florida, but they won't leave. Same thing in California. And the California kids didn't realize it because the closest HBCU to them was down in Texas in Wiley, you know, and they were like, wow. And but you got an opportunity to kind of see that, and now you get a chance to lead another group of young women into something great. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about this bracket. I want to see what's in his head on this bracket. We're going to take our last break of the day, Val. These bill collectors keep calling me. Get them out of my pocket. We'll be right back on the Pull Up Podcast Show.
Tony, what would you like to ask Terrence?
Listening to that trailer, man, it was so cool. When you got a chance to get involved, what were your past experiences?
I haven't necessarily done narration and voiceover, but I am a songwriter and performer. I've done that for a while. And with this project, one, I'm not seasoned enough to know what high 8 tapes are. So I'm just pulling off my experiences with elder people in my life and their stories and try to connect that bridge. So I just tried to do that the best that I could. And I'm happy with how it came about. I'm excited for people to start seeing it and seeing how over these many years it's come full circle, as John said.
Terrence hits on a great point. The spirit of the film is based on the spirit of the music and the times of the 90s. That was important that came across because that was a different frequency of music, you know, back then. Well, it was an exciting, challenging time where you felt the birth of a new musical movement was happening.
Ultimately, we actually shot in 13 different locations and had a cast of over 60 people. And then we had this tape, this project that was still in search of an ending. And for 30 years, I've lied and carried this on my resume as a film that I completed. But nobody ever asked me for it. But I'm just grateful for the fact that, yeah. I'm grateful for the fact that Wendell found these and just wrote such a brilliant narration that really pulled everything together and brought us to some peace after all these years of this unfinished project.
Man, we coming down the stretch here in the fourth quarter. I talked to my kids. I got to beat Kev. I know he already got power, so you know I got a full court press right here. But you know, welcome back to the fourth quarter of the Pull Up Podcast Show, and your main man, the one and only Coach Tony. You know, you saw and had an opportunity to catch. It's whatever you could catch, because I know you were busy. You were flying back and forth, but as you caught these games this weekend, we're gonna start with the women's side of the house because that's where you and I are set. You know. I do respect the 4 number 1 seeds. I just don't like the way they did it. I respect the fact they got UCLA, respect the fact they got USC, best 2 coming out the Big Ten. Then you got the best out of the SEC in South Carolina, and then Notre Dame, you know, in the house. And, you know, the thing is, what gets me, I'm sorry, the number 1 seed over there is going to be Texas. I apologize. Here's what I don't like about that, Kev. There's no way in the world you can put 2 SECs on one side, 2 Big Ten on the other side. And I get it. I know what the committee's trying to do. If they knock each other off, we're going to have a Big Ten SEC national championship. I get that. But kind of like what Don said, if you're going to put us in the right atmosphere, why not put 1 SEC on one side, 1 Big Ten on the other side, best man win. If the Big Ten and SEC meet up in the Final Four, then you got either 2 SEC or 2 Big Tens, or you got 1 and 1, and it becomes a great show. What do you think how the committee set this up before the women's side of the house?
You know what? This is just how I feel about it. I think you answered it right at the beginning. It's made for TV, you know, and they want maximum exposure. And so look at those teams. If you look at those teams that are number 1 seed, see how much TV time they're getting.
Right.
You know, and again, sponsorships sell. So I don't think they're much looking at, you know, I know, you know, the seedings are important and how they match up, but they're also looking at those TV ratings. They can't, I mean, how could they not? You know?
And that's why Dawn Staley sells that's so good. She's pissed that she wasn't the number 1 seed. USC is pissed that they got put in the same bracket as UCLA.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think it has a lot to do with how much TV exposure these teams are. And they're great teams, no doubt. They are.
Mm-hmm. I think Texas is vulnerable, in my opinion, on the women's side of the house. I think they're going to struggle. I think Notre Dame and Hidalgo gets by them. Louisville's going to play tough. I'm hoping South Carolina keeps the chip on their shoulder and whatnot. And I think USC with Juju redeems themselves from the Big Ten championship. And I think they move on. Now, I've got a South Carolina USC national championship game on the women for promotional purposes only. I gotta say that, Cam, just check it back here for promotional purposes only, But that's what I got on the women's side of the house. What you think about that?
Oh no, to me it's pretty accurate. I'm really been a fan of USC this year, even last year. But just love the way coaches. I love her system, how they put a lot of their players. I mean, it's just not Juju. They got other players.
Yeah, they got big time.
Players. They play so well. And then again, I mean, it's Coach Staley. How can you go against what she's been doing? I mean, because those kids they're mentally tough, highly talented, and they know how to win.
Plus, ain't nobody else wearing Gucci on the sideline, man.
Never. On. The only one.
I'm waiting for you to get your Gucci suit, man.
Oh, man. I'm not there yet.
I know, right? We're going to get that, man. But that's crazy. But like you said, it's funny because that's why I want that fight. That's what I love about the women game that I always talk about. For one, since they stepped in the highlight, don't talk about Juju. She's already shut down some of Caitlin Clark's record. And I saw something today on the news about they were upset that they're not considering Caitlin Clark a GOAT in college basketball. Those are haters. Caitlin Clark is definitely a GOAT in basketball. You break what she broke, Pete Maravich's record, men or women, come on, man. Y'all can hate all you want, but she's a GOAT when it comes to that. Now, Juju's on right on now on pace, Kevin, to be a major ball player. But what I like what she's doing is outside of the game. The young lady invested in Unrivaled basketball this year with Brianna and Nafisha Collier starting the Unrivaled game. So she's put some of her NIL money in a professional team. Now think about it. Before she turned professional, let me buy a professional team. That's dope.
It's genius. There's a level of women's basketball. This next generation, it's going to be something amazing to watch.
I think so.
I'm really, really proud of where it's going. It's not where it needs to be by no means, but it's going in the right direction. And it's moving at a much faster pace than it was just 3 to 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, if these girls, if they set out on this CBA contract because they're talking about doing it, then you may be in the situation where you see Athletes Unlimited or Rival kick back up in the wintertime just to keep the women in shape. Because I think the days of sending all of our best players overseas to play now, international, done. Yeah. And what I highly respect more than anything is, like Springer was saying, we kicked it with Coach Tony, Coach Kevin, he checking in again. But what I like about it is that we now, Kev, got the pros, Steph Curry. And did you see speaking of the D, you saw your boy Chris Webber and Grant Hill and Eminem getting together to bring the Detroit women's basketball. Since they just got approved, they about to put the money. So I love that these pros who are making $200, $300, $400 million, $1 million, that's nothing. They put, me and you throw $1 million a piece and give $3 million to a team so these women can get $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 split out, and then you start getting these big contracts. That should have been there, like you said, but now it's on fire and it ain't gonna stop.
Absolutely.
Well, now on this men's side of the house, I got to hear what you got to say about this because I'm a little pissed. Okay. I am not no Michigan fan by far, but I'm a Big Ten lover. And one thing I know, 14 teams in the SEC make it to the tournament. Here's the only thing I got about that. They're going to bow out, and they're going to bow out early. Because when you got that, they're going to self-destruct. And I'm going to give you who I got in terms of knocking a couple off. But I get upset on one thing, and you talking about market money. These are your boys in your back door with the Florida Gators coming out of games. Love Florida. I think they're going all the way. I think they're going to the Final Four. But what makes me mad about the situation is I'm sorry, they're not going to go to the Final Four. They're going to get beat, but I'm going to tell you who they're going to get beat by. But what gets me upset about them is they win the SEC, Kev, and they give them a number 1 seed, right? But then you still give Auburn a number 1 seed who's now got 5 losses, and then Duke moves up to quintessential number 1 overall. Okay. But then you let North Carolina win a play-in game and they went 1-12 in what they call quad one. And for some of you guys that don't know, quad one, quad two, quad three is just basically the power fives and how they stack out behind that. And Indiana won all their quad one games this year. And they didn't even make the tournament. So
that's insane.
Insane. Absolutely insane. So the number one seed right now for the men is Auburn, Florida on the same side of the house, Duke and Houston on the same side of the house. And they got a few other teams in there. Who you like on the men's side of the house?
I like Duke. And even though I know that Cooper's out, I mean, they still are a phenomenal basketball team. Well coached. They got, McDonald's All-Americans. They got some draft picks already. So
yeah,
they got the length, they got the height. I think they're going to finish strong.
Yep, yeah, and I'm with you. And I got Duke as well. And I think that on that side of the house, I think Michigan going to give them a tough run. I don't know if Michigan got the horses to get by them, but I'm telling you, Houston's going to be there. And my Final Four, I got Michigan State knocking off Auburn to get up in that bracket because I think Tom Izzo was a little upset about what happened, and he'll be back. And here's my long shot of the day, fellas. The Godfather lives on in Ricky Pitino. I love Coach Pitino. St. John Johnnies will be back in the Final Four. Again, for promotional purposes only. Coach Tony got Michigan State and St. John's on the side of the house, playing Duke and Houston on the other side. That's my Final Four. And then I'll give you them a championship down the road. But, man, that's how I'm looking at it right now, Kev. So, man, my question I got before we get out of here is, what's next for you, Coach?
Oh my goodness. Just getting back. Really, it's meetings, make sure these young ladies are graduating, make sure everything is situated with their stuff. And then looking forward, look, what's next for me is really being able to sit down and look at what's going to make us more successful. I even with my staff, we all need to sit down and figure out, we took a loss in the second round of the national tournament. Freed Hardman
to these Tennessee people, the Freed Hardman crew.
Yeah, great program. But we still, again, we fell short that day. That one game doesn't define our season. But at the end of the day, we got to figure a way, look at all our pieces and just figure out what's next steps for us in general. But I'm looking. The future's looking bright, no matter what. No matter what happens, it's going to be great. I'm really excited about the 25-26 season, and it's going to be good.
Man, I have no doubt. You already know I'm on your side. I'm shooting for the stars, man. We're gonna get you to the moon. And my boy Kevin Springer said Fairleigh Dickinson's women's basketball program, Kev, is gonna shock some people. I think on that women's side of the house, Springer, I think you're right. I think there's gonna be several upsets that's along the way. But on the men, there are gonna be some sad puppies. I think that on the men, speaking of long shots, I think that you got to watch out for BYU. I think BYU is going to play great. I think Creighton's going to play good. Yeah. They were a tough put out the other day. And I'm going to tell you one right there. And them boys do well with math and science and making some money. But Yale, coach at Yale right now is the second winningest coach in the Ivy League. And they are going to be they may be a 116 win.
Yeah, they're tough out.
And we've got to give a shout out to our two HBCUs in Alabama State and Norfolk State making it to the dance. And, we got to appreciate them brothers down there doing their thing, man.
Nobody want to play them.
Nobody want to play them. But like I said, man, exactly, you know how that go. But, man, I appreciate it, man, talking to the coach of the year right here, man. And I just appreciate you very much. And, my door is always open. And where you go, I go. So, we're gonna keep it intact. And this is what I want to talk about. I'm glad Val put that picture back up there, Val. Got all them rings on his hand. Look at this one I'm talking about, this brother, man. Send me a ring or two like Martin.
Tony.
You ain't gonna be missing one. Well, give me one. Just miss one. Man. Oh my God, that is beautiful, man. That's how we do it right here, Val. This is my man's in them.
Hey, that's promotional purposes right now, right?
For promotional purposes, exactly. Y'all don't even know about it. But listen, it has been great, man. And we got another show This sign behind me right here, Coach, you already know as I talk to you about your girls. So I will be talking to Winston and them down the road. But the Rise NIL is the opportunity, man, that I had a great opportunity to launch my brand during the pandemic, and gives us an opportunity that I help out match NIL opportunities with brands. So if you are an athlete and you're looking for some NIL deals, and talk to companies on how you can get paid playing college basketball, and this is more than just the D1s and D2s. I've got kids, from NIL, from HBCUs and NAIAs, ND3s that are doing very well right now as well. So log on to me at www.therizenil.com so you can learn more about that. And then tomorrow night, Kev, I'm working like you, man. Val got me working the hardest, man, in the podcast business. Well, on Tuesday nights, we have a show called Interludes Talk on Tuesday, where we talk music and entertainment. So that's a great segment, man. And we always talk about the latest shows and do some things. Last week we had an opportunity to talk about a great event, and then tomorrow Val got an opportunity to go see a play. Do you remember Jason Lear, the movie?
Yes.
So Val's gonna talk about that tomorrow. They had a play. You want to tell them about that, Val?
I got a chance to interview one of the young actors, Elijah Washington. He plays the younger version of Alan Payne in Jason's Lyric Live. So it's on tour. I think right now it's in Kentucky, but it's coming to a theater near you with two of the original cast from the 1994 classic of Jason's Lyric, and written by the same screenwriter from 1994. But check out our interview with Elijah Washington on tomorrow. He was here in Chicago with that, and then we're going to be talking some other things too. So yeah, cool.
Oh man, that is great. So man, I appreciate you, Coach Kev, man. Thanks for pulling up on the Pull Up Podcast show, baby. And we're gonna talk over the summer because I got a few things for you, and whatever it is that you need my help with, I got you.
Oh, likewise. I appreciate you guys both. Thanks for having me on the show. It's an amazing one.
Man, I appreciate it. Hang out backstage real quick before you go. We're going to get out of here. Man, thank you guys for checking in on the Pull Up Podcast show. But you know my words. Peace, and I'm out.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up. Bounce the voice and Coach Tony, it's the Pull Up Podcast. So I said bounce the voice and Coach Tony, it's the Pull Up Podcast.